the Mayflower? The Pilgrims, you're right. You know, why did they come over on the Mayflower? They wanted freedom. You know, they could have named the Mayflower, if it hadn't already had a name, they could have called it the Freedom Ship or the Liberty Ship, because that's what they wanted, and that's why they came. That's why they endured all of the problems that they had. Now, you know, they were living in England back in the early 1600s. And, right. And did they want to do that? No, they didn't. They wanted to be able to have freedom of worship. And so they left England, and they sneaked out of England and went to Holland. They hired a ship. In fact, they tried twice to get out of England. The first time they hired a ship. That comes later in the story. That's good. You have a good memory. And they tried the first time to get out of England, and the captain betrayed them. He turned them over to the authorities, and they got arrested. But did that deter them? No. They said, we're going to try again. And so later in the year, they tried again, and they hired a Dutch captain ship. And they were there, and they sent the women one way, and the men came another way. And the women came in boats, and they got there before the men did. And so they had to wait, and they were in this little cove where the river came into the ocean. And they sat there in their boats, and when the tide went out, they got stuck in the mud. They couldn't move their boats, and so they couldn't go out to the ship. And about that same time, somebody had told the authorities that they were there. And so again, the women got arrested, the men were out on board the ship, and the captain said, I don't want to stay around, because if I stay around, I'm going to get arrested. And so he took off with the men and left the women on the shore. Then they had a big storm in the ocean, the North Atlantic, and it lasted 12 days.
Holy cow! They
almost died. Fortunately, they were able to land in Holland. Yeah, we got more than we said. And and so they finally were able to land in Holland, and they ended up living in a town called Leyden. And they lived here 12 years. But they weren't Dutch, and so they had to take whatever jobs they could get. And after 12 years, they decided, no, not yet. And they wanted to leave Holland. And so that's when they discovered that they could come to America. They got permission from the King of England to leave and settle in America. And so they left, and they left on the speedway from Holland. And they took the speedway to England, and that's where they met up in Southampton with the Mayflower. And so then they left. They tried to get away, but they were short on funds, and they couldn't pay the port taxes. So they had to sell off some of their provisions to be able to leave. So they left, and the speedwell started leaking, taking on water. And they left. That's right. The Mayflower came back. They left 3 times, and on the 3rd time they finally were able to go. And that was the end of September. And so it was getting close to winter, and they had to cross the ocean. In the first few weeks, they had really good weather. It was really good weather, but as it got closer into October, then the storm started forming. And they started getting really, really bad storms. They were blowing everywhere. And there was a man named John Holland he decided to come up and go back. He wasn't quite sure why, but he thought he would be safe up there, so he came up from down below here. He came up here. He got washed overboard. A big wave came and washed him right over into the ocean. Now there was ropes that were trailing in the water. And he was able to grab a hold of one of those ropes and hold on tight. And the sailors saw that he had gone overboard, and so they got a big fish hook and were able to fish him out of the water. So he was saved, and he lived to have 10 children, and three of his ancestors, or those ancestors, his progenitors, were 3 of the presidents of the United States. And so they were lucky that he was able to be saved. Also, when they were crossing the ocean, they got, because of the storm, this area right here in the middle of the ship, the beam cracked. Beam is what holds up the ship together. And if it continued to weaken, then the whole ship would lose, and the mast would fall, and they would all die in the ocean. Well, the captain said the rest of the ship is pretty solid. It's a good ship. If there's a way that we could repair the beam. And so the Pilgrims, they had what they called a screw jack, which was, so it's like a jack that you screw up on a car. Like that. And they were able to take that screw jack and put it underneath the beam and then screw it up, and they compressed the beam so that it was tight again. And then they could repair the beam, and they were able to continue the rest of the journey. Yes.
Were there sails on here?
Yes, there will be when we finish tomorrow. We haven't gotten that far. Yeah, I think you go on that lady. And then, once they got here, they were when they first sighted land, when they came here, was this northern part. This is what's known as Cape Cod. And they saw this, they had maps of the area. Captain John Smith from the Jamestown area, he had mapped this area already. And so they knew where they were. They knew that they should have been way down here. And so they started heading south in the boat. And when they got down to this area, they started running into rough seas. They had whirlpools, and they had low tide, they had sandbars. And the ship Mayflower almost was destroyed in that area. Fortunately, the wind changed, and they were able to steer the ship back out of that area. So the captain said, I don't want to take the ship down there. So they sailed back up here. And on the 11th of November, they anchored right here in Provincetown Harbor. The closest they could get to the shore was 3/4 of a mile. And so they got into a rowboat that they had, and they went another half mile. And within that half mile, the rowboat couldn't get any closer, so they had to get out and walk through the water. And this was November, and the water was really cold. And so they got on land. That's right, and they started getting sick at that time. This was November. And by the end of March of that next year, half of the Pilgrims had died. So all of you who are number 1 died. And all of you that are number 2 lived. And so that shows you, by the time we got through the Americas, by the time we got to the Thanksgiving harvest in the fall, they only had 51 passengers left. They had, out of the 19 women who had come and married, only 4 lived. And they had to prepare the Thanksgiving meal for everybody. And they brought 90 guests. And so they celebrated for 3 days. That
Yeah,
was
it
the
took 3
first
days
time.
to eat.
Yeah, they had a lot
Yeah,
of
they
food.
could not chew all, chew all the food and eat like we can.
Yeah, right. They had deer, and they had duck, and they had seafoods and so forth. Yeah. Yep, all the shrimp you could eat. And all the venison you could eat. It was probably the first surf and turf dinner they ever served.